Alan, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Eric.
How are you doing today?
Actually, pretty well, thanks. You?
That's good. It's good. Besides some little technical stuff that we're dealing with today, it's the power of technology and pushing all the limits as we can. The world was not designed for all of us to be on Wi-Fi. I can tell you that. All at the same time across the country. We thought we had it good, and now we're like, sound like my children when I turn the Wi-Fi off. That's
it's
how
funny
the world is now.
It's funny you said that because I told the person I'm in the house with here that stay off the Wi-Fi. I'm going to be on the Wi-Fi. Stay off.
Yeah, people know, some people know that I've done this. We have 2 channels in our house for our Wi-Fi, and I take the higher broadband. So I use it. And even now I'm paranoid during our hour. The kids know, and I see them roaming around. That's what, if you catch me looking outside, because there's a 13-year-old, 50-year-old walking by. So they're not even touching technology. And the wife's like, I'm not even going on there. I don't want to hear about it. So yeah, it's a fun world. So let's jump into this. So your company, Standard Hydrogen, and obviously I'm going to glaze over this because I have that much knowledge of what you're talking about. You take plastic waste and you turn it into hydrogen fuel.
Actually, not just plastic waste. We can handle tires, paper, wood, last night's dinner, whatever you have other than metal and glass, we can handle it.
Wow. So how did you invent this technology, and how does it work? Because this is fascinating to me, talking about just taking all of these things and turning them into fuel, which is great because we always need fuel, right? I mean, it's an important thing. I mean, but my first question, what do we use hydrogen for? I know it sounds really naive, but I know people are going to ask it.
Hydrogen's a very clean burning fuel. When you burn hydrogen, the only byproduct is pure water. So that is the ultimate fuel for our climate change issues.
Okay. Now I know. How did you invent this technology? I mean, were you like Doc Brown? Were you sitting in a garage and you're like, I want to create a time machine, but I need to know how to fuel it? Or tell us the story. I'm just kidding, by the way. Doc Brown. But I mean, how did you come up with this idea and this concept? I mean, it seems fascinating.
Actually, before I go into it, it's funny you mentioned Doc Brown because I told somebody the other day we should call our product Mr. Hydrogen. So, it's funny. Everybody, got the same thought on their mind. Great minds think alike. Actually, one of my partners is a brilliant chemist, and he invented the technology. And frankly, I think everybody should have a brilliant chemist, and you can't have too many brilliant chemists. And once he invented the technology, it became very evident very quickly all the various uses you can have with this technology.
Outstanding. So I'm getting some interesting and fun questions from our Star Trek fans that are out there.
Sure.
So the first one is, are you a Star Trek fan? I don't know.
I love Star
Random
Trek.
question.
Love Star Trek.
We figured that the bet was he's going to say yes. That's just so you know. The trusty dusty device in my hand is.
The gray hair tells you that I go back to the original series.
The best one. Sorry, I know there's some fans out there that'd be like, no. Sorry, the best one. You can watch it on Netflix now, so I've been doing that. So talk about this process. It's here in the States, obviously. So can it go to other countries? And interesting enough, we have you on a Thursday, so that means the job report, the unemployment report came out today. So I'm just going to talk about jobs. Does this create more jobs by having this technology and using this clean burning fuel throughout? Just, hey, we'll start with America first. I mean, does it create more jobs? I mean, kind of tell us that process, and can other countries use it?
I guess, Eric, the first place to start would be it's going to be everywhere. It's going to be on 6 continents, maybe even Antarctica someday, but there's waste down there as well. So we're getting inquiries in the 8 weeks that we've been marketing. We're getting inquiries from every corner of the world, and it's incredible. And interestingly enough, when we first started looking at this and we started the marketing campaign, we thought we'd hear a lot from individuals, companies, and governments that were interested in the clean burning hydrogen fuel aspect of what we do. But in reality, the large majority of the inquiries that we've had so far really are centered around the waste management side. Everybody's very interested in cleaning the planet, which is a great sign that there's such interest, but it's something that's definitely needed. And we will be everywhere. Now, on the job side of it, there's going to be an enormous amount of opportunity there. Think about hydrogen as not being an industry. It's going to be an entire economy. You're going to have automobiles, buses, trains, planes. Everything that moves is going to run on hydrogen. So in any case, you're going to have people that are going to have to build those modes of transport. And then you're going to have entirely new transportation and storage of the hydrogen itself and the pump aspect of it. So there's a lot of jobs going on there, but just from our own company aspect, there's going to be a requirement or a need for people to construct the reactors. They're going to need to deploy the reactors. They're going to need to install the reactors. They're going to need to maintain the reactors. They're going to need to decommission the reactors. So there's a whole paradigm shift that's going to happen in the economy as we go from fossil fuels to hydrogen.
I love that. So the number one question that comes to my mind is our government, right? You always talk about the government, and I know Elon Musk is Mr. Tony Stark when it comes to everything when we think about it, right? He's our modern day Tony. So I'm going to ask you this. So will the government get involved, or is this going to be entirely private sector? I mean, I think this is amazing. I love seeing private sector control things instead of having the government stamp of everything on it. So where does the government fit in all this?
Obviously, the government has deep pockets.
Yes.
And you always think about, can we get grants from the government? But when you use government money, you have certain obligations that we don't want to incur, things like use rights for the government. We want to keep everything very close to our vest. So from that standpoint, the government's role in this will be to help fast track all the regulatory hurdles. Obviously, as I get into the technology, there are toxic chemicals involved here. So because of that, there's regulations that are involved, both in transport, storage, and use. So that's where we're looking for the government to play a role. But I will say that foreign governments have contacted us. In fact, there are certain joint ventures that we're negotiating right now that will involve foreign government money. Interestingly enough. Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty outstanding. So let me ask you this in closing. You know, so it's a long question, so don't worry. It's not like we're kicking you off right now, but what do we need to know about this technology? A lot of people are going to be interested in this technology. So what do we need to know about this technology, and kind of tell us what's next with it as we grow into it?
Great question. The first thing I would say is the technology is here and now. You've heard nuclear fusion is coming. It's 10 or 20 years away, but it's been 10 or 20 years away for the better part of 50 to 60 years. And it's still 10 to 20 years away. Our technology is here now. There are other companies and research labs that are trying to find ways to bring the price of hydrogen down to where it's comparable to fossil fuels. We've already done that. We are not in that feasibility area where we're trying to decide and determine whether we can make it work. We've made it work. And we've done it at a much lower cost than everybody else. And we are absolutely confident that we could own the market with hydrogen. So the next things that are coming are joint ventures and pilot plants. And we're not talking about years. We're talking about months. Because the technology is here, all we need to do is now design and build the reactors that are going to deliver that service. We're not in the business of providing a product. We're not selling the reactors. We're not licensing them or leasing them to customers. We're providing a service. So if a government or a company or anybody who has waste to consume, or they have a desire or a need for hydrogen, they're going to call us, and we are going to come on site with our reactors. We will retain ownership, and therefore we will also maintain them on a full product life cycle. And once that life cycle ends, we'll be the ones to remove the reactor and replace them. So we keep everything close to our vest, and we can maintain control over what's going on with the reactors. We anticipate at any given time, somewhere down the road, there'll be 20, 30, 40,000 of these things around the world, all consuming waste, whether it's a landfill, it's a river that needs to be cleaned, or the great garbage patches that are out in the oceans. We can now clean all of that, and we create a return on investment, because now where it didn't pay for somebody to go and do this before, now anybody can go and collect the garbage, and working with us can now turn that garbage into hydrogen, and that means profit. And when you have a profit motive and profit margins, suddenly everybody's ears perk up and they want to be involved.
Money makes the world go round, my friend. Alan, I want to thank you for joining. For everybody out there, go follow Standard Hydrogen on Twitter. It's Standard H2CO. And check out Alan Mintzer out there and his company. Go check out, see what they're doing. If you have any questions, fire them away. You can send them to us and we'll pass them along and get you an answer. But Alan, we want to thank you for joining us today. This is amazing insight. We have a lot of people geeking out on this stuff. One of your questions, I got to get this one in. Do you know Elon Musk? It's like
no, I don't, but I'm sure I will, because Elon Musk he's not really a fan of hydrogen. He thinks it's stupid. So it's going to be an interesting next couple of years.
Oh, and you got another one. There we go. Vet Pivot, our good friends at Vet Pivot want to know, are you going to be hiring veterans? Good question.
Absolutely. Love our veterans.
Love it. There we go. That's how you drop the mic and walk out. I like it. We're going to make sure you go hire veterans. I love it. So Alan, thank you for joining us today. We'll have to have you back on soon. Have yourself a great weekend.
Thanks for having me, Eric.
Thanks.
Let's get to the point.